Google Chrome, $1 billion company that runs half of the internet. It knows your bank details. It monitors every click that you do on their browser. It knows which website you go to late in the night, but somehow it doesn't open a URL at a specific time. It doesn't give you that feature. Maybe it's too hard for them. So let's try to build something like this ourselves, where we build a Chrome extension where we can give any time and any URL, and at that specific time and URL, uh, a tab with that URL is automatically opened. So let's try to build something like this. So first we are going to create a manifest.json file. A manifest.json file is the heart of the Chrome extension. It's like the package.json of the Chrome extensions. It contains all the metadata regarding the Chrome extension that you are building. So let's start creating it. So the first thing that we'll add here is the manifest version. The current manifest version, latest one that Chrome supports, is the version 3. Before this there was version 2 and version 1, which the Chrome has now deprecated because there were some security issues in version 2. In version 2, the background script that was running for your Chrome extension, it used to run continuously, and that had a lot of surface area then for the hackers to attack users browser. So now Chrome has changed a few things regarding the background scripts, and also the permissions are also now detailed. So you'll need to ask for specific permissions if you are going to use those things. So that will come to it in a bit. Then we'll add the name of our Chrome extension and the version for our Chrome extension. Let's start with 1.0, and then we'll give a description for it. And here comes the permissions. So we are going to add 3 permissions for our Chrome extension. One is the storage, alarms, and the tabs. Storage is because whatever the user is going to add the URLs and the times for those URLs to open the tab, we are going to keep it in the local storage. So that's why we need the storage permissions. Alarms is something we need so that Chrome can tell us at what specific time the user asked us to open the tab. So what we are going to do is, whatever the user will provide us, we are going to set an alarm for it, and as soon as that time will come, Chrome will activate that alarm for our extension, and that's how we'll know that at this time the user said something. And tabs we need because we want to open a tab automatically at that specific time. Then we are going to add the action. For the action we need 2 things: default title and default pop-up. Default pop-up is the HTML that is going to be showed as soon as the user clicks on the extension name. And then we have the background service worker, which is the background script that will be running. Now because we told Chrome that the page that should be visible as soon as the user clicks on our Chrome extension is the pop.html. So let's build our pop-up.html file. Here we'll create a small HTML file. I have some styles ready for it so that our page will look good in styling. The first thing we are going to add is the header, which is the scheduled open tab. We are going to add an input and a label. The input will be of date time type, and we have added an ID of it time. And then we need a label and input for the URL. So the user will be adding the time and the URL. Then we have the save button, so that once user confirms. And then we have a list, so whatever the user will be adding, we will be adding it to a list. And to do all these functionalities, we are going to run that in a script, popup.js, and that script we have added it as a part of this HTML. Now let's go to that script. In the script, first of all, we'll get the 3 elements from our HTML: the date time that the user selected using the document.getElementById that the JavaScript provides, then the URL input, and the save button. So I'm creating here a function called isValidURL. This will be used to check if the URL that the user added is a valid one or not. So to do this, what I've done is I'm creating a new URL object. If there is any error in creating this URL object, I'm saying that this URL is not a valid URL, because if it was a valid URL, this would have parsed and it wouldn't have thrown an error. And if there is no HTTP or HTTPS on that URL, we'll be adding the HTTP and HTTPS from our side. So what we're going to do next is, on the button, the save button, we are going to add an event listener click. So as soon as the user clicks on the save button, this callback function will be called. This callback function, first let's log whatever the user is entering. Then we are going to fetch the value. So we had the HTML element here that we got using the getElementById function, and using the dot value we are fetching its value. Same is the case for the URL. Using dot value we will fetch the value, and we are going to trim it so that if there are any spaces before or after it, they will be trimmed. Then we are going to add a validation. If it is not there, then we are going to tell the user please choose a date and time. Same is the case for URL. If the user clicks on save button without providing any URL, we are going to show him an error. Then we are going to convert the datetime into a epoch timestamp. So this timestamp will be the number of seconds passed, which is called the epoch timestamp since 1971. This will be a 10-digit number. To do this, we are using the date object and the get time of the date object. If this will not be a number, then we are going to return again an error that this time is not valid. Then we are going to use the isValidURL function that we created before to check if a URL is valid or not, and in case it is not a valid URL, we are going to show the user an error that this is not a valid URL. Then I'm creating a unique ID for the task that the user has created. This unique ID is for when Chrome will create an alarm at this particular time. We'll need to see that which task was it, so that we can open that URL. So we need a unique ID tied to every task that the user is creating. Then I'm going to create the task object. It will have three things: the ID, unique ID, the URL that the user provided, and the timestamp. Now this timestamp is required, of course, because we need to tell Chrome when to activate the alarm. Then we are going to get the scheduled task. So the variable here I'm keeping is the scheduled task. If it is not found, then I'm falling back to an array, empty array. So this is where our permissions from the manifest.json of storage comes. So we are going to fetch from the local storage whatever tasks are currently there. Then in this task we are going to push another task that the user has recently now created when he clicked on the save button. So after that we are going to set all these tasks back again to the local storage. So first we fetched all the tasks, then we added our new task to it, and then we set those scheduled tasks again. And then what we are going to do is we are going to send a message, a runtime message, using the Chrome runtime API. For this we don't need permissions like we did for storage, because Chrome provides it by default. And in this send message we are going to have an action of schedule and the task that was newly created. And after this message is successfully published, we are going to make the URL and the time empty strings, so that after successfully setting, everything is reset to default. And then I'm calling a function called load task. This function I'll just create. This load task will add all the tasks to the task list that we created at the end, so that user can see what all tasks he has created. So in the load task function we'll get all the tasks from the local storage and in this schedule tasks variable, and the task list again will get the document.getElementById. This unordered list, we had the ID of task list, and we are first going to make the inner HTML of it as blank. Then we are going to loop through all the scheduled tasks, and for each task we'll create a list item so that we can put that list item inside this task list. And we are going to provide a class name to this list item because I added a style on this list item with this class name task item. So after providing the class name, we are going to add some inner HTML to it, where we'll add the URL and the time that the user provided. Then we are going to append this list child to this task list so that all the tasks are added to the unordered list. And at the end, I'm going to add a event listener to the whole document so that whenever user opens the pop-up, so this DOM content loaded is something that Chrome sends an event of this name, and whenever this pop-up will be opened, we load all the tasks that are there currently for the user. Now the next thing we have to do is we have to tell Chrome to add alarms for these tasks. So as you saw here that we sent a message using this action, and the whole task will catch this message in the background JS file. So we added a add listener function to any message that the Chrome is sending, and we are going to check if the action is scheduled for that message. We are going to schedule a task. This function I'll just create, and then we are going, after scheduling the task, we are going to respond as okay true. So what this response as okay true means, here where the send message was called, after it is successfully we have responded back to it, this callback function will be called after that. So that's why we have to send this response as okay true here. So now let's create this function schedule task. It will take the input as the task, and it will now call the alarms API of the Chrome. So as we added the alarms permissions as well, so we have added a alarm. So using this alarm, we are telling Chrome that this is the unique ID of this alarm, and raise this alarm whenever this time is happening. So this time we got from that message where we sent the whole task, and this task had the when property where the timestamp was there. So using the task.when, we are telling the Chrome that send raise an alarm at this time. We will just console log it, and then we are going to add an event listener to this alarm. So whenever this time will happen, the time that we have told Chrome, so whenever this time will come, Chrome will call this function on alarm.addListener, because we have added now a listener to all the alarms that we have set into Chrome. So whenever this alarm will be raised, this function, this callback function will be called. Here we now have to fetch that which alarm was it that was raised, because Chrome is just going to send us a message with the alarm. Now here we, from our local storage again, will get all the scheduled tasks. We'll now then find from the scheduled task where the task ID is the alarm name. So when we created the alarm, we gave it a task ID, but the alarm that Chrome has is it changes the task ID to the name. So every alarm has a name, unique name there. So we have to here check the task ID with the alarm name. So once we find this task, we'll then call a function called handle schedule task that will just create. So in this handle schedule task, we'll first get the URL from the task, and then we'll call the open tab with URL function. This function will open a new tab with this URL. We'll create this function as well. So this function takes a URL and it calls the tabs API of the Chrome. So here again we took the permission of the tabs, so that's why we took this permission, so that we can automatically open a new tab. So here we'll just check if there was any error. So whatever the error comes, it is present in the chrome.runtime.last error. So if there is any error, we'll just log that there is an error to open that URL. Else we'll just console that successfully we have opened that URL. Again, we don't need permission for this because runtime is by default provided by Chrome. Now we need a function called restore alarms, because once you will close your browser and open again, your all the alarms will be gone. Chrome does not remember the alarms that we have created. So what we want is to restore all the alarms whenever Chrome is opened again, and if our extension is, let's say, updated, then also all the alarms are gone, so we have to restore those alarms. So in this restore alarm functions, we'll again from the local storage get all the scheduled tasks, and then for each of those tasks we'll again schedule the task, and in the scheduled task we have this function where we are telling Chrome to create those alarms. So this restore alarms function will first call on startup. On startup means that whenever the Chrome window will be open, and also on installed. On installed is called whenever our extension is updated. So then also all the alarms are gone. Then we have to again call this restore alarms function. So that's it. Our Chrome extension is now built. Now let's try to see this into action. So to open any extension that you are locally building, so first you have to come to this Chrome extensions tab. You have to switch on the developer mode, and then click on this load unpacked, and then you click go to your folder where you are developing. So here you see my Chrome extension scheduled tab opener, and if now I go here in the extensions, you will see it here, scheduled tab opener. If I click here you see all the HTML that we just built, everything, the pop-up.html file. And here the current time is 12:49 am. I'm going to set an alarm from 12:50 am and using this URL, and then I'll click on the save, and alarm is scheduled at 12:50, and as soon as 12:50 will be, clock will hit 12:50, this URL should open, which is the URL to my YouTube channel. So let's wait for it. So as soon as 12:50 hit the clock, the URL is automatically opened, the tab is automatically opened. So using this we can create our own Chrome extension. You can take it much further, create your own Chrome extension.